One from Mexico, and I think the bridge in the background there is from France or something like that. And then this one on the side is something else.
Yeah, so it's like a collage.
It's stuff you do for movies and video games and stuff. Anyway.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it looks very apocalyptic to me. That was my thought. So, since you got some it looks like you have spiral staircases at your left shoulder. Yep, there we go. They look almost like tentacles, actually. No,
yeah, they are, because on this side, we got some divers going down.
Oh, I see. So it's like underwater.
Yeah, it's underwater. Yeah. Cool. You'd have to see it full screen to get a good grasp of it. So, Hey guys, I'm here today with William. And William, how about you introduce yourself?
Well, my name is William, as you indicated, William Bulmer. I am a digital artist, among other things, living in Buffalo, New York. I kind of, as I said among other things, and I really do mean that. I'm kind of a jack of all trades. Interesting fact is that I really returned to art pretty recently. I've been on a hiatus, a literal hiatus, where I didn't draw anything, not a single thing, for like 10 years. And
10 years, that's a little while.
It was a little while. I was working on something very different, focusing on which one is it, the right brain instead of the left brain? I don't know. Maybe that's just a myth anyway, but I was working on some physics and math ideas and just, learning that stuff. And then the pandemic hit, and I needed an outlet for all of my existential angst. So I returned. Well, first I returned to writing, and then when I started writing, I started drawing my ideas.
What kind of writing? What kind of writing were you doing?
Well, it's the story is it's like a fusion of fantasy and dystopian science fiction. That's really the best way to put it.
Okay.
And it was really sort of reflecting how I felt. I didn't feel like things were actually going towards this, but I just, I really felt like things were becoming very unstable. Actually, it had been that way. I mean, the pandemic hit in March or February, and we went out to these yurts. I can't remember the name of the place where we went. It starts with an M, but it's in Europe somewhere. But these nice, large, expansive yurts with kitchens and everything like that. It's very quiet. And then at the same time, the riots began happening.
Oh yeah, that's right.
And they had it on. It's like we went out there to escape all of that, and it folled us. Because they wouldn't stop watching the TV.
Did you have a machete or anything with you while you're in a yurt?
Good idea. Next time, maybe I'll bring it. No.
Well, you're probably safe.
Actually, it was pretty safe. No, we weren't worried about the riots. It's just that the news followed us, because we were planning on going over to it's Meredith. That's what it's called, Meredith, New York. And spend some nice time away from the internet, away from bad news. Just in nature, and pretend that things were okay. And we couldn't because there was this news, and the people with me were tuned into it 24/7 while we were there.
Didn't you just get away just recently too?
Oh yes, yeah, we did go. We went to Cook Forest, which is in a very different direction. It's in Pennsylvania, but that is definitely very. It's away from. It's pretty far away from civilization, and so there's not as much internet access there. I still managed to find it, which is probably not a good thing. But yeah, we went to Cook Forest and stayed at a cabin for 2 nights.
Yeah, I'd like to. I want to get away here soon too. Get on that 4-wheeler, the ATV you seen, the picture I showed you. Get on that and go somewhere. Yeah.
That must have been cool. It must have been. It looked like it was muddy. That it was pretty.
Well, it was muddy from the other day. I had it out. Christmas Day, I had it out and got mud on it. We get a little bit of snow. It melts. Get a little bit of snow. It melts tonight, I think, or tomorrow. I think we're supposed to get 10 centimeters of snow. And I'm gonna get out in the snow with it. That'll be fun.
That'll be cool. Yeah, I didn't even know. I mean, I guess I have no experience with ATVs or anything like that, so I don't know. Besides that they have four wheels and that they are all-terrain vehicles, I don't know what is involved with driving them. I guess since they're all-terrain, it would make sense that you could drive them in the snow.
You could drive one down through New York, see how far you get before the cops get you.
Yeah, it's probably not. Is that legal? I don't know.
Not good time. No.
I should try that out.
No, not in the cities, probably not.
Yeah, that would definitely be a nice way to get away from it all. I'd say, a little time and
so
prison.
What made you step away from art then? If you didn't draw for so long, what was it that you just?
Well, I had this. It's really a long involved story. Maybe I'll just condense it and say that I discovered a very interesting identity in physics concerning conserved quantities. Actually, at first, it wasn't like that at all. I'm not going to get into this because I don't know if people really understand it.
I probably won't understand it.
But that's the refrain. I mean, that's pretty much how it is. And what's funny is, like, I'll mention that I do physics and math. People are like, wow, you must be really smart. And I'm always like, well, you don't really know what I'm talking about. So maybe I'm not really. Like, maybe you don't actually, like, maybe it's just all nonsense and you don't know. I was studying electromagnetism, classical so for the last company, two companies ago, that company tanked, and before they tanked, they strongly recommended I take some classes in something. So I started taking classes in physics and got as far as quantum mechanics and statistical mechanics, and then the company tanked. But that stayed with me. And then a few years ago, maybe about 6 or 7, I was playing around with electromagnetism, the equations of classical electromagnetism, and stumbled across something that looked a lot like, it looked suspicious. I'll say it that. It looked familiar. And then I spent along the rest of my time essentially fleshing it out. I did have detours, but I fleshed it out, and now it's sort of in I have a prototype theory. It's not, don't get all excited. I haven't found a theory of everything. I'm not even close to that. But it's a prototype theory in that it's a theory that you can use to describe a universe, not necessarily our universe, but it's used to describe a plausible universe.
So you're going to use any of that information that you come up with in your comic that you're planning on writing or working on?
It's the thought. I have some ideas. Part of my research has led me to get a different idea of how parallel universes might work. We have this very nebulous idea of how parallel universes work, and I think what people usually go to is maybe the universe has multiple spatial and temporal dimensions. We only have access to some of them. Or another one is, I think, the very popular multiverse theory, where there are these
with Jet Li, the one.
Yeah, sure, the one. Wow, it's been a long. I
love that movie.
I've seen that once.
Oh, I've seen it more than once.
Jet Li, the one. Wow, I have not thought about that.
The multiverse.
Jesus, that was in college when we saw that. I think I'd have to think about that.
College, hey, I'm in college now again.
Well, I could obviously see that,
So what is it you drew before you stopped drawing? What types of stuff were you into for drawing, or? I guess
before I stopped drawing. It was actually pretty much the precursor to what I draw now.
Was it digital or traditional, like pen and ink, paper, pencil?
We won't speak of the digital work. I did a lot of, let's just say I did a lot of traditional work and dabbled in the digital without a tablet. So you can imagine how
good old mouse. Oh my. Well, yeah.
Yes. I actually the other day, not the other day, really a few weeks ago, I finally So I remembered that I actually had an account on Side 7. I don't know if you know what that is.
No.
But it's like early internet art gallery. I mean, this is before even DeviantArt. Side 7 was very early stuff. And actually what's surprising is it's still running. It's just its server is really slow. So when you get on there, it takes, minutes to load things. I think it's just like one guy, one or two people running the server or something. But surprisingly, it still has my art and still has some of my crappy digital art on there, which I will not direct people to, but you can find it if you try hard enough. You can find it.
So and now you draw digital with what do you use, a Wacom or?
No, I use an XP pen, and it's kind of funny. So you directed my attention to Art Cafe, and so I listened to the very first podcast I saw.
Yeah.
That was a podcast with a person named Ethan Becker. And
I probably haven't listened to that one yet, or maybe I did. I can't. It depends.
Yeah,
I listen to them every day at work until I run out, and then I go to my other guys that I want to listen to.
Yeah. Yeah, right. I think it's probably very new. I've encountered Ethan Becker before. He knows what he's talking about. And he's funny. He's a pretty funny guy. He's very grumpy. Like his persona is grumpy, and but he has very helpful tips. With art, and I've certainly incorporated them. But at any rate, I'm not usually one to. I'm not very suggestible. At least I'd like to think I'm not very suggestible when it comes to advertising. But I'll tell you, Ethan Becker. I was doing traditional art, and I was still getting back into it. And then he mentioned he did a plug for the XP Pen 22E Pro 22E. He's like, this will make you a better artist. And I was like, oh, it will. I will get this right now. And so I did that. I got the XP Pen 22E. I don't know what here. So there it is.
That's 22 inch.
It's yeah. I believe so. And there are bigger ones. This is actually one of the biggest ones, I think.
I use a Huion. I think it's 19 or 15 inch or something like that. I'd show you, but it's over here somewhere.
Is it a display tablet?
Oh yeah, display for sure. Yeah, it's comparable to the Wacom. What do they have for their monitor tablet there? The Wacom, whatever it is. Anyway, it's comparable to that, but a quarter of the price. So, yeah.
Well, I mean, I don't know. I'm really kind of a newbie with this stuff. I don't know. Obviously I've heard of Wacom and things like that. But
Wacom's the name for tablets, I guess. Like it was anyway. Yeah. That's changing. Yeah.
Yeah. But
now you can do it on an iPad. So.
Yeah. Well, my brother, he does. He uses the Surface. And I know a few people who just don't even use display tablets. I don't know if I ever want to do that. But
it's awkward to use for me when I painting in Photoshop and stuff with the one without the monitor was okay, but when you try to draw fine lines and stuff, like you're looking this way when you're drawing this way, so it's.
That's why I don't want to do it. I like to see the immediate connection.
Yeah. Like see where it's like when looking at the pen touches the paper. You kind of want to see where it's going. So let's talk about your comic book you're working on there.
Sure. Yeah. So as I said, this comic book had its origin from the pandemic, and actually, I'm saying that, but that's really not true. It really kicked into high gear in the pandemic. I've had this character bouncing around in my head in various iterations for years. And during my hiatus too. It's always been in my head. And I've drawn a few different versions of him. Well, I shouldn't say him. It's really just precursors to him. And so, during the pandemic, I really decided I really want to flesh this character out. So this is a little background. The pandemic obviously was horrible for lots of people. I mean, thank God we didn't get the virus. Thank God we didn't, I was placed on furlough, so I was affected by it, but it really, in my case, it wasn't that bad. There are other bad things that happened this year in my life, but not because of the pandemic.
Yeah.
But just I had this sort of existential dread, and so this character that's been bouncing around my head is sort of like the opposite of that. He's not the opposite of that, but he's sort of like the distillation of hope. That's what I'm trying to get with this character. I think there are a bunch of different other components to him, but that's the essential. That this character is the distillation of what I think of as hope. What I think of as representing hope and I guess magic. I guess for some reason I associate magic with hope, and so this character is very magical. And he's sort of inspired by. I wish I could remember the names of folktale characters, but he's inspired by different things growing up. Maybe I should share, but so anyway, I started this, and I started with this character, and so then I was like, well, then I had this other thing bouncing around in my head, which is a world, and this world is sort of like the complete opposite of this guy. This world is a dystopian nightmare to live in. The society is totalitarian. They're living on a dying planet. It's just bad. And then so that's what I sort of placed in, and then I created this other character as a sort of, I wanted him to be a foil for this other character that sort of represents hope. So I had this other character who has PTSD due to things that happened in his past. I'm not entirely happy with what that turned into. So this is still very much in flux. That being said, I did a first page of.
Well,
of
I can tell you're pretty excited about it. You're that's cool.
Yeah. I'm excited about it. I want to get past the first page.
So what's your process? Did you write first, or did you just start drawing it out?
Yes, I wrote a story and decided it was crappy and embarrassing, and then rewrote it again. I still feel like it's crappy and embarrassing, but it's better. It's kind of funny that I felt it was cringy until I returned to it a few months afterwards, and then I reread it, and it was surprisingly not cringy to me. So it's in story form, and the story itself is not completed, but it did get to a sort of turning point with the protagonist of the story. So that's where that is now, and so now I'm trying to turn that into a comic, but a comic is a very different thing from a story, from a novel, which this essentially was. So there are different things you have to do there, and the pacing is very different.
So how are you learning to do this? Like, are you getting any advice or looking at any tutorials on how to lay out a comic book page or anything like that?
Yes, I don't have authoritative things I can give you.
No, that's fine. I'm just curious, like if you're just winging it or you're trying to get. It doesn't matter really, as long as you're doing what you love.
Yeah. So a lot of this, I've gotten a lot of advice from my brother. He does a superhero comic.
Okay.
And the advice he gave me is just start it, which is
I hear that a lot actually.
Done. Yes. With webcomics especially. And one thing I didn't realize before, it didn't hit home before, that a typical comic is really a group effort. It's an ensemble effort. And, there's an artist and there's a writer, there's a colorist, there's an inker, all kinds of these. Each of these people are employed to construct a comic. And now I'm expecting myself as one person to do this comic.
But there are others. I've seen some pretty successful ones, like on Kickstarter and those places, and they're doing.
There are.
Some are like, yeah. But I also read that comic book artists don't make much money, so it's because you're doing it for the love, not just for the money, I guess.
That's really true, and there's no reason I don't expect to make money.
Because by the time you sell your comic, get it printed, marketing, and all that, yeah. But it feels good. Yeah.
This would be a web comic. It wouldn't be. I don't plan.
Oh, you're not okay. It's all web.
Yeah, and I actually did get an account with Webtoons, but it's just sort of it's languishing. It's just sitting there with nothing in it right now because I want to have more than one real page done. So it's really there's a lot of work to do regarding that.
Well, yeah. Now that we're making this little video / podcast, now you're going to get a kick in the butt. You have to get it done because we're going to go back and talk again so he can show us. So what do you need? Like 3 weeks to have it finished?
Yeah. Let's do it. Yeah. Obviously. Yeah.
So you have anything about? Oh, actually, how about this? What do you? Because, but a lot of this that we're going to talk about is I want to show other people that doesn't matter where you're from, if you're rich, poor, whatever. If you want to do art, you're going to do art. So what is it that you use to draw digitally? Like I know you have a monitor tablet, but the software you're using isn't a $3,000 package.
It is not. In fact, it is $0. It is Krita. Actually, I have it up.
You can share your screen if you want. If you can't,
I can figure it out. I've never shared my screen
on the bottom in the middle. I'll have to.
Oh, there it is in green. Yes. It says you disabled participant screen sharing.
Here, try it now.
Okay. All right, and here it is. So, do you see it?
Oh yeah, I see it.
This is actually so this is Krita. It's really quite advanced. Of course, now it doesn't want to do anything. Hold on. Let me see about selecting this. It's weird. It's definitely interfering with Krita's operation because I can't actually use my pen on it right now.
Oh, you got the other. That's right, the separate monitor. I see your mouse working there, or is that your?
Yeah. So that's my monitor. I can't use my pen. Let me just let me get out of it.
Yep.
Okay. Does it work now? Hold on. Maybe it's disconnected. Maybe it's not Krita. Maybe my USB cord came out.
Don't worry, I'll cut this stuff out.
Yep. No, this is the best part.
Well, some of it I'll leave in.
Let's see. Okay, there we go.
You got it working?
Yep, got it working.
So Krita, that I installed it last night. I drew a couple of lines and that's it. I just wanted to see what it was like. But then I watched a few tutorials on YouTube there, and they were showing some stuff that it's pretty good compared to Photoshop. It's pretty much equal.
Amazing, yeah. So that's what I hear. A lot of people go from Photoshop to Krita. So there are a lot of guides for how to transition.
And my other recommendation for people that have a little bit of a budget would be Clip Studio is amazing.
That's what I heard. That's what my brother uses.
Yeah, it's awesome. Great for laying out comic book pages as well.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Oh, now it's not even drawing. So the only issue I have with Krita is that it's there are definitely bugs. There are definitely kinks in it. And I don't know. I get mixed. I think your mileage may vary, depending on which kind of system you're using. There's another person I use who uses Krita. She doesn't have any of these issues at all. So it might just be my particular laptop has these quirks that just don't lend themselves well with Krita. But I know what's wrong. That wasn't Krita's fault at all. That's because I was using the blur tool. I was just showing, drawing stuff, and not that there's anything important to draw. But that's it. It's really remarkable. I actually just found a really cool feature that the other day, actually yesterday. I don't know if Photoshop has it, so I've never seen another program use it, where you can actually click on a pixel and it'll select the topmost layer with that pixel. And that will be a huge time saver because I'm a little anal when it comes to my work.
So you basically selected a layer by choosing the pixel. Is that what I
By
understood?
clicking on it, yeah, clicking on a pixel. So what you do is you click a pixel so for example, in this galaxy, you click a pixel and it'll find the layer with the topmost layer with an alpha of non-zero. That's at least my understanding. I mean, that's my guess. I don't know precisely if that's it, but I do think that's kind of how it is.
I know with Photoshop you can control click on a layer and it'll select it. I don't know if that's the same thing. I'll have to try to.
Yeah, I haven't tried that. Oops, I got the different pen. That's not.
Yeah, I've been using Photoshop for a good 20 years.
Yeah, I don't know. There is a control click, and I do it by accident sometimes, but I don't know what it is. I don't know what the shortcut. Yeah, so I don't know if I'll be arrested for this or sued for this, but when I first used Photoshop fresh out of high school. My art teacher gave me a sort of, well, maybe we'll leave the art teacher out. Someone hooked me up with a bootleg version of Photoshop.
Yeah.
And so
we've all been there.
Yep. No, it was a very early version of Photoshop, and I used my mouse with it. As I said, we won't be talking about those works. But it's probably very different than it is now. So the last program that I used, by the way, when I first started doing this a few months ago, was Fire Alpaca, and let me tell you that is crap. That program is crap. And I'm sorry to the developers. I really am. I know it's hard work and everything, but compared with Krita, it doesn't hold a candle to.
Well, I hear a lot of good things about Krita, and it's free. Just like Blender. I like Blender. Like I'm back in school, 3D modeling, animation, and design, and I just started in September of 2020, and I'm 46 years old. And but just before going to school, I decided to jump into doing some of my own 3D. Like Maya costs, I don't know, $2,000 a year to use. Blender, $0 to use. Right. And Blender is completely free, and it's very comparable to Maya 3D. Oh my God, it's pretty amazing. I'm still learning, of course. And the whole point of these videos that we're making is us, just anybody at all can do this stuff with whatever you have.
Well, yeah. I've never tried. I mean, sorry, that's not true. I tried Blender.
It's a lot different now than it was.
It was. I'm sure it was, because I tried it probably around, I want to say 2009, 2010.
Oh, way different.
Yes, I can imagine. I didn't want anything to do with that, so I'm sure
it was a laughing stock back then. Yeah. Yeah. Not now. They're all the big companies are a little worried. It's like,
really?
Oh yeah, a lot. Like, you listen to Art Cafe and those other podcasts, you're going to hear a lot of the big time artists saying, "Yeah, we've been using Blender now." So yeah, and all their career they use Maya or 3D Studio Max. Yeah.
Oh, 3ds Max, that brings back memories.
Yeah, I first used that in '99, I think. Yeah.
I used to work my very first programming job. I'm a software engineer. I didn't mention that. My very first programming job was in computer simulation, and we had to work with 3ds and Blender. Actually, we had to make some assets in Blender, so that was a fun time. Just a question. I know you said you had 40 minutes. So is the 40 minutes almost up, or what are we going to do about it?
Let's see, 36. So if it dies out, I'll just boot it up again. We start over. Not start over, but just continue on. Okay. I don't know what happens. It's magic. So using Zoom in 40 minutes, I don't know if the world's going to end or it's just going to shut off or what. So
yeah, it'll delete all your files. In 40 minutes,
I think that's what happens. Anyone that's watching too, all their files will be deleted too.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. Definitely.
So you got any artwork there you could show us?
I do. So that, by the way, this artwork, I don't know if the one you see on Krita, this is from an art trade I'm doing. It's kind of cool. I didn't want to show that one first, but Now you've seen it.
The outer space one that was in Krita there, that was yours.
Oh,
You drew that?
Yes, I did that. So this is based off an art trade with one of the people I know on DeviantArt. And she's a really cool person, and she's very knowledgeable about things. But at any rate, that's besides the point. We decided to do a different kind of art trade, because normally art trades involve exchange of characters.
Okay.
But in this case, what I suggested was I list a bunch of songs that I really like, and then she lists songs based off of that she thinks I might like, and then I have to pick one of those songs and draw a representation of it.
Oh,
and then the same. It's true. The same's true for her too. And so let's see, what's the name of this song? She gave me one of the songs she suggested. Just give me 1 second. It's almost. Oh, I'm in the wrong playlist. Just give me 1 second. What songs is it? Come on. This is not working. It's called Spaceships. I'm trying to go through Spotify. Sometimes Spotify just decides it hates you sometimes. So,
oh, yeah, I find it slow on the computer a lot.
Yeah, Spaceships by the Rentals. That's what it's called.
Spaceship by the Rentals.
Yep. And I gave her The Ocean by Manchester Orchestra. Beautiful, wonderful band, by the way. But and so I'm drawing that, and she did The Ocean, which she already completed her half, because she's a beast when it comes to making art. I'm not as fast as she is. So at any rate, that's what I'm doing. So that's what I'm currently. I plan on actually doing some sort of spaceship. There are some fantastical elements in the lyrics. So I wanted to reflect that. I'm trying to find the layer this is why you should name your layers, people. Good.
That is a good tip, because I have like 100 layers, and you're guessing. Yeah.
I'll have to show you one of the pieces I did. Actually, the one on the ArtStation, one of the ones in ArtStation you've seen. It had 176 layers, and that is the most layers I've ever worked with. And it also took 24 hours. Well, it took longer than that, but that's according to Krita.
So what's this you're showing?
Well, I was just drawing a very rough sketch of sort of where I want to go with this. It would be, if it were like this, it's not going to be like this because it's blocking out the galaxy, and I don't want to do that. But the idea is to just have sort of a spaceship with wings. I don't think it's going to be there. I think it's going to be more like, zooming out, from the planet or something like that. Something like that, and, have wings, sort of like that, something like that. So I think that'd be a cool effect. No, maybe have a space station here, something like that. So that's still a work in progress. We'll see. And it's very different, actually. Ooh. I guess I drew on a layer, so
don't save.
Do that. Yep.
Show us some of your other artwork there that's going to be in your comic book. Okay,
so let me start with just concept art. I wanted to talk about the comic book. A lot of the stuff here it was in flux. A lot of the stuff, in my opinion, this was stuff I started with when I was just drawing. I started drawing again. And I'm not going to show you some of it because it was really terrible. Like there's this one of a character. I kind of wish I'd drawn that guy better. This is he's a character in the story I'm writing named Captain Islington, and he's the captain of basically the secret police in the story. And I drew him, and it came out right, but then I tried drawing his hand, and it looked like he'd broken his hand. So that I'm not going to show that, but that was some concept art. Instead, I'm just going to show the characters that I started with. This is the character that's been mostly. I'm going to show the character that I started with because that's the one I've fleshed out the most. This is the character that's been floating, that was bouncing around my head. He was in different. He existed in sort of different prototypical iterations, and then I finally decided to sort of flesh him out. And so he's this angelic fox character, not angelic in the biblical sense, but angelic in that he is a creature that ministers to people. It's a creature that helps and ministers, but he also has a little bit of a handicap in that regard because he has trust issues based off of things that happened in the past. So he's actually, even though he's sort of kind and caring and whatever else, he doesn't trust people. He's sort of introverted. It sort of takes him a while to sort of warm up to you. So there's that going for him. And as I said, maybe it sounds complicated, but this is a character that's been bouncing around in my head, and I decided to just draw him. He's got this harp. The harp is actually it's supposed to play a prominent role in the story. This was really kind of how I first imagined him. Can you see him? Can you
see him?
I
see him. Yeah, okay. With the wings, it looks pretty cool. Actually, I like that a lot.
Yeah. Thank you. So his name's Ether, and that was one of the first things I did. I mean, that's not really true, but let's pretend that was one of the first images I did of him. Here is the main character named Danziel, and it was, again, an early image, and you'll see that Ether is still in flux, and actually everything is still in flux. So this character has changed. The Ether has changed quite a bit, and I've spent a considerable amount of time trying to refine this character and make him, sort of what I envisioned. And it's really difficult. It's actually surprisingly difficult. And I was a little embarrassed because so I had done some drawings of this character, and then there's a person who watches my account, and she goes by Din Arts with a Z. And she has cool stuff. Definitely recommend looking at her stuff. But she, one day last year, she just surprised me with gift art of this character. And at this point, I was still struggling with drawing this character. And I'm not going to show it. Well, maybe, I can. But she did it, and I'm like, wow, that's so much better. His face is so much better than the face I was able to do. So, I guess I can show that, but so here's more concept. I actually really love how this one came out. This is actually pretty much what I kind of envisioned him as. This was when I was using Fire Alpaca. There's a lot about this that I like and a lot that I don't like.
Fire Alpaca, that's the other software you said you didn't like, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And God knows how long it took me I don't even know how long it took me, but this was really basic. I mean, it's not really basic. There's blending and stuff, but it's really not that. It's okay, but this was my first attempt at really drawing something ambitious.
I like his stance. I like his stance, the way he got his arms across and kind of looking down and at you. Yeah, it's kind of cool.
Yeah, it came out, so I actually called this Smug Ether. Smug Ether iteration 2. I'd done another iteration, but I'd actually done a flat color version of this, but the perspective was off. And so I had to sort of rework some of this. And incidentally, I learned some interesting things about perspective when I did that. So just moving on, here's another character from there. There's this. I don't know how much time we have. I can skip over some things. I just wanted to show.
Just go with the flow, and if it kicks us off, we'll start back up.
Yep. So this is the other angelic being that I have imagined for this, and again, this was very early on when I drew this. But he's called actually, it's not he. Ether's male, but this is just an it. Or not even an it. I don't know if it's appropriate, but it is genderless. But it's supposed to be like, it's not really God. I mean, but it's like that. I mean, based off of what Ether is a member of a race of beings that, and I don't know if I want to give too much away. And also some of this is still in flux, but he is also part of this race, and essentially he's the master. So you can imagine what kind of role it played. This creature played.
Yeah.
And this is a scene from a sort of the society, or one of the societies. So this comic has like two backstories to it, because what I did is I fleshed out sort of prehistory, and then I fleshed out history, and now I have to actually flesh out the story itself. So I have all this stuff going on in the background, and so there are these sort of different epochs. Is that how you pronounce it? Epochs.
Don't ask me.
And eras. There are eras.
I think yeah.
And because they happened so long ago, they're only recorded in sort of a biblical form. And so this is a scene from their so-called Bible. In the scene, this person she's sacrificing a finger to have a child, so that she can have a child, and that finger is very important to her. But at any rate, stop that. Hold on a second. Okay. This is getting. Hold on a second.
It's funny. Kind of Zoom's still letting us go.
Yeah, that is strange. So I was trying to just get a definitive. I was trying to get a definitive reference for this character Ether, because it's just like he's a pain in the blood to draw. Like, seriously, really difficult. I found him very difficult to draw, and he's constantly like, I'm constantly drawing him differently. So this was me trying to establish a definitive reference for him. Just move on. So here's the first page of the comic. Actually,
I like it.
Yeah, it's. I'm pretty happy with how it turned out. Made some heavy use of chiaroscuro, which is a word I just learned this year. But
what's the word?
Chiaroscuro.
Okay.
I think that's how you say it.
I don't know. I'm just learning it now.
Yeah, my wife, who's not even a visual artist, knows the word. I was like, I just learned about chiaroscuro. Chiaroscuro. She's like, you mean, and she pronounced it well. She pronounced it correctly. I was like, yeah, that's what I'm talking about. But at any rate, no, so chiaroscuro, I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing that, but that's where you make heavy use of black or dark areas. And that's actually, it doesn't show up in a lot of my art, but it's something it does show up in a little bit of my art, and I'll show some of those later. But it's something that fascinates me when people use black space to flesh out objects, to flesh out 3D objects. And some of my favorite artistic works, and some of my favorite artists use this technique, and I just think it's fascinating because it's like it's amazing to me how you could use a void. Basically there's nothing there. There's just black to flesh out a shape. And so I find that to be endlessly fascinating. So in this one, that's you can see I do it here. I do it with this shawl or the soldiers throwing over someone's head, and with their face. This was me again. I don't know if I want to dwell on this too much, but this is again.
Well, I don't know. I really like that guy. You say you have a hard time drawing him, but you're doing a lot of them.
Well, I'm doing a lot of him so I can draw him well. That's the problem. Like he was garbage at first, believe me. The issue with him, first of all, it's the folds in his robe are really difficult to get right. And he's got this symbol on the bottom of his robe, and I have to figure out how that distorts. So there's that little wrinkle. And then there are his dragonfly wings. And I still have not gotten them right. And if you ever looked at dragonfly wings up close, it's like a nightmare. It's like it's just, there are hexagonal cells and there are square cells and all kinds of, they're actually called cells. And I have not figured out yet how to render dragonfly wings very well. But I'm still experimenting with it. Okay, so here is what you on ArtStation. And this is the one that took me 24 hours. And my idea for this was I just wanted to. Well, it started out as something much as a smaller project. This character, I've drawn a lot of him smiling, and that's been very important because he's supposed to look beatific. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, but he's supposed to look, he's supposed to have a really beautiful smile, is beatific and everything, but he's actually not supposed to smile that often. And so I wanted to draw him not smiling and actually being the opposite of cheerful. And so my idea was I wanted to have him next to a propaganda poster and looking irritated by the fact that people are once again, falling for another, for dear leader.
The lighting looks pretty awesome on that. That's good.
Thank you. It's 176 layers there. I don't know if you can't really zoom in. But
I zoomed in.
Yeah.
On screen here, I'm all zoomed in.
Okay, yeah. But yeah, I'm just. This is probably my most ambitious piece to date. It's got.
And that was done in Krita.
What did you say?
Krita, or how do you say it? Krita?
I pronounce it Krita, and everyone I know pronounces it Krita.
But so that's why you've made that in Krita.
Yes. So this is a combination of vector layers. I've got a whole bunch of I've got something called transform layers, which which I discovered when I was doing this. They're awesome. I'm sure I wouldn't be surprised if Photoshop didn't have this, but they're a layer where you don't have to alter the underlying layer. You can just apply a geometric transform to the layer, and it's stored in a transform layer. And so if you look at the wings, if you look closely, you can see some distortion happening around the veins in the wings. And so that's all a transform layer. So then the buildings were done with vector layers. I actually, if you can see the buildings at the very back, I initially wanted to make them like the building to the left and have random windows.
Yeah.
But I said hell no, and so that's what we get. This building that I did to the left, I had a computer generate a sequence of random numbers, and then I based the windows off of that. And I didn't want to have to go through that with those buildings in the background. So anyway,
I was just taking a small concept artist course with I think the website's Motion Design, and it was just building a sci-fi city. Mm-hmm. So yeah, that's kind of neat. As soon as I seen that, that's what I thought of.
Yeah, yeah, it really came out well. So what I didn't mention is that this started out as something smaller. It was supposed to be just him with a brick wall behind him, standing with a brick wall behind him next to a poster. But that was just so freaking boring. So I decided to finally flesh out the world. The world, I've been thinking about this world for a long time. As I said, this world has been, this setting has been in my head for a long time. And so I decided to actually draw what it looked like.
Maybe I missed it, but what is this for? Like a main page or the cover?
This is
or a double page spread type deal.
This is like, I imagine this as a poster that will never actually be, because this is not a scene in the comic, as far as I know. It might be,
but you could still use it somehow with your comic.
Yeah, I imagine this, like if I had a comic that it was approaching done, this is the kind of poster I would imagine as a promotional poster for the comic. So that was the intention behind it. And also it was really, the other intention was to explore the world, to draw something besides ether, just show other things in this world. And that also helped me to get a better idea of how the world functions. One more of ether. Oh, sorry. Yep.
That's all right. You can go to the next one. That's fine. It's all all pertains to the same.
Yep.
So when you draw these, are you sketching them out first, or you just kind of go with it and then erase, or do you sketch your whole drawing out first?
Yeah, I call it scaffolding. So I start with a rough sketch, which is I do a lot of gesture. I have an intuitive feel for where things should go, and so I do the gesture. I used to do things differently. We can talk about that because I know one of your questions was about inspiration. So some of that pertains to how I used to do things. But I very rarely start with concrete shapes, which, by the way, is something that Ethan Becker definitely does not prefer. He would yell at you if he would yell at me if he knew I was doing that. But good thing he's not here. But so I start out with these gestures, and what I actually really do. So I start out with the figure himself. So in this case, and one you're looking at, I started with his body. I did what his basic body looks like, and then I drew the clothes over him. So with clothes, it's really, I don't know, clothes are like a subject in themselves. One can spend their entire life doing clothes, and so I just I draw his body, and then I use that as, again, scaffolding to figure out how the folds will happen. And so then there's another layer of those. And what I end up doing is I'll color them in different, this is a technique I learned from watching videos, but I color these underlying layers with something other than black to signify that they're not really what's supposed to be there. They're just visual guides. Usually it's red. Sometimes it's blue if I have more than one guide. And then that's when the serious line art comes in. That's when I, really start doing serious. That's when my serious layer. I start my serious layer, and I draw the real image. So it usually takes, one or two layers of scaffolding before I do the final figure. But it depends.
I start school on Monday. I think it's Monday. Yeah, I think my first class back again after the break is Monday. And on Monday, it's Maya 3D, introduction to Maya 3D, but I'm already making stuff in Maya. But that'll just make me a little bit more ahead in class, I hope. But I'm going to be doing life drawing classes in the morning, and then in the afternoon, it's going to be storyboard for entertainment. So if I learn some cool stuff off that, because I've read about a little bit of storyboarding. I have a book here. I'm too lazy to look through it, but I think that'd be great for comic books, because you're laying out your story for a movie or an animation or whatever. So if I learn anything off that, I'm definitely going to throw some info your way too.
I would be interested in that, because that's really a big issue with comic books. I did some, a little bit of storyboarding. That's, I have one or two pages that I've done, but I've done them in storyboards, but you just don't see them because they're storyboards.
I'm holding a book in my hand right now. It's published in 1998, The Art of the Storyboard. Storyboarding for Film, TV, and Animation by John Hart.
Okay, let me write that down.
I don't know how it's pretty informative. I just need to go through it more here.
Yeah,
but I think that would.
Maybe I can find it. Where have my notebook? Oh, here it is. What's it called?
The Art of the Storyboard. John Hart, Hart.
All right, I can look that up.
And then I went to. I got it on sale at a bookstore. US dollars, it was $40. I think I got it for $10. It's a big, thick book. It's got the Star Wars storyboards, the prequel trilogy, all their illustrations. It's pretty cool. I went through it, and it's just like watching the movie.
I would love to see those. I'd be interested in revisiting that, actually. Star Wars storyboards. I'll look that up. Yeah, I see if I can find it.
So isn't it Nike that says just do it?
That's what Nike says.
Yeah, so if you want to start a comic book, just do it.
Just do it. But just doing it doesn't necessarily mean drawing the comic, and that's what I've learned, because I started with the comic, and as you can see, I did the first page, but you're telling a story, and you don't want to waste time with storyboarding if your story is not even going to go in that direction. Like that's how I feel.
But at the same time, if you're learning and you've never done it, and you can sit and think about it for months, for years, but nothing's happening, or you can just go with it. And if it sucks, big deal. At least you can waste months at sucking, because then you'll get good at it.
That's what I've heard. So,
but see, I don't even do that. I slack off, and I'll keep thinking. I have a comic book in mind for 2 years now. I started. I sketched out. It's just sketched out the first panel, and I know the scenes.
Oh no!
But I won't. But I'm gonna follow through now. I'm doing lots.
Now you can just release it. You got the first panel. That's it. It's published.
Yeah.
What's the? Can I ask what's the idea behind it?
Well, I'm a big horror fan for sci-fi. Me and Aliens. I love the movie Aliens. My oldest daughter, watched all of them with me. We start to finish. Then we watched all the Predators. Then the Predator versus Aliens. We watched all of those. And so I'm into zombies, whatever. So
I saw that. Yeah, I saw that in your art station.
So most stories, like movies or whatever, I don't know. Let's say there's a Superman. Well, he usually takes place in one spot. He's not all. If something happened in the next city over, he's not there. It's always in one spot. So my idea with this will be, I'm going to have zombies. If there's werewolves, if there's demons, there's vampires. Anything could happen. But I'm going to have a few characters that are surviving in all of this. So, and it's going to be a little bit post-apocalyptic.
So is it like, it's almost like you're talking about
Resident Evil / Mad Max.
Oh, okay. I thought it was going to be something more like, you have these people who aren't necessarily heroes. They're in the background, and all of this chaos is happening.
Well, I'm kind of basing two of the characters. There are going to be two female characters, and they're going to be the main characters. And there's going to be a big backstory. One of them's been kidnapped, and this and that. But they're sisters, and they don't know it. Stuff like that. But these two girls are my daughters. I'm basing it off their attitudes.
Wow. Yeah, actually, I was kind of curious, because I've seen you've done a lot of the caricatures. I saw you did some of an Iron Man one, which was pretty cool looking.
Yeah. Those are commission. That's just commission work, but I want to do more of my own stuff.
Okay. Let's see if I can. Yeah, there are some cool ones. I was going to go there and show them, but I guess you could also show them. Nope.
Oh, you can if you want. RH Illustrated or ArtStation.
Oh yeah, that's the other one. Yeah. I have two pieces on this.
I haven't put anything up there in a while. I'm going to start here soon.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was trying to find. It's hard to find things on this.
I'm trying to figure out. I got to draw a scene, and I got to have it just perfect. It's a main scene, and I'm going to animate it. I'm going to actually. I might put it in 3D, and it's a scene underground. It's like in a cavern, and there's going to be a girl hung up and being tortured.
Oh, I have something of someone hung up and being tortured. It's really not that bad. It's really kind of PG, but
I don't. That's fine. We fit the window. But, yeah, that's I drew that pretty fast. That was a friend of mine. He's a rapper. I drew a picture of him. They're into some pretty crazy stuff, so I thought that'd be kind of fun to do something for him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was one of the first things that I sort of caught my attention. Actually, my favorite. So first of all, I love the way you do crows. By the way, really cool. And I like this. The spine. I mean, it looks like, I don't know if it's not really a skeleton, but it's like he's really emaciated.
Yeah. I'm even better than that since then. It's kind of funny now that I draw more and more and more.
Yeah.
So tip to everybody, draw lots.
Yeah,
If you,
I just please draw lots. Just keep. I try to draw every day. By the way, like I love. I stopped playing video games for a while because I wanted to focus on honing my abilities, and sometimes I don't want to do it. But I think Stephen King had a great quote. Do you know what I'm talking about? He had a great quote about the Maxters. I forget what exactly it is. Let's see if I don't know if I'll try to find this for a minute and then I'll give up. But he had a really great quote about that.
Yeah, that crow you were showing there, I just decided to do a watercolor painting that day, and I did a crow.
It looks really cool. It
took me a lot of time to do that one.
It looks like that. I've never done watercolor. Paint's never agreed with me. It's my fault.
Watercolor is very unforgiving.
It is. Well, yeah, that's something I do want to say. Like another tip, though, something that'll level you up. Don't allow yourself to make mistakes. Like one of the things I think that really improved my abilities for a time was I just drew in pen. I just got drawing pens, and I do that now. When I kind of prefer to draw with a pen these days because I'm not allowed to make. If I make a mistake, that's it. So I really have to think carefully about what I put down.
Imagine drawing live with a marker. So a paying customer is paying you to draw their face in 7 to 10 minutes, and you got 40 to 50 people standing over your shoulder watching.
Yep.
And then you mess up. Oh, you got to crumple the paper, throw it away, and start over.
Or you work with it. You do something with it.
Oh, so yeah, I have some tricks there.
Yeah.
Drawing young babies' faces is the hardest.
I don't know if I've ever drawn a young baby's face.
They're hard. They're like
geez.
Anything under 4 years old is hard to draw because they don't have any blemishes or cuts or scars, so you kind of focus on either their hair or if they have really big ears or the bow in their hair. You kind of draw everybody's attention to that.
Yeah. You've got different proportions.
When it comes to caricatures, but yeah, the faces, and a baby's face, yeah.
I can't find this quote. It's really cool, but it's something like the only thing that separates the masters from the amateurs is the masters get up and write every day, and that's really what it is. Same thing with drawing, and I don't pretend to be a master, but I do know that that's what it does take to you've got, if it's not writing. See, my problem is I'm a little bit of a jack of all trades, but whatever it is, just do something that enriches you, every day, even if you don't want to do it. It might be writing. I even was reading because I haven't read in a long time, so I started doing that just to sort of feed my brain. I've been reading folk tales, but something that you don't want to do because it's so easy to be like, okay, I just came home from work, and all I want to do now is play Ori and the Will o' the Wisps or whatever. And it's so easy to do that, and
well, you gotta love it. If you don't love it, you're just not going to do it. So,
sometimes
don't
you're not
expect to get good.
That's the thing.
Yeah. You gotta love it.
Though. Like you don't. Sometimes you don't love it, and that's the hardest part. When you're like, I've been working all day. Why should I put myself through something else like this? And it's sometimes I don't, but I have to. Like I have to keep doing it. Anyway, kind of. Let's see. What were we talking about? I was just talking about. I guess we're sort of just naturally having a conversation here.
Oh yeah.
I did want to show some of my darker stuff too. I mean, there's a bunch of stuff. I sort of got carried away, but just while we're on the topic of sort of creepy. As I said, it's not. I don't really ever draw stuff that's too gory, but I do like to draw creepy things from time to time. If I can even see, where is it?
So yeah, my main character in my comic book, it's a girl, of course. Well, both girls, but she can kill anybody with any kind of weapon. Doesn't matter. It could be a toothpick or a cap off of a bottle.
Ooh.
So that's kind of her superpower.
Okay, so it's not like just an ability. It's like really a power that she can kill anyone with.
Well, she's kind of possessed. It's not possessed. Like she got some sort of. There's demons involved in this too. So she's supposed to be something special. They think they can control her. This cult thinks they can control her, but they can't. So she ends up. They're torturing her in the beginning, and she escapes and kills a bunch of them on the way out. So that's kind of how it all starts. Action. Yeah.
You ever have you ever seen like the very first thing, like when you were talking about the very first thing that came to my mind was River from Firefly. Did you ever watch that show?
I don't think so. TV series?
Yeah.
No, I don't watch too many TV series. If it's not a movie,
that made me think of. It made me think of River. I mean, you'd understand if you'd seen.
Oh yeah, I see this clearer now. You're.
Yeah.
Explain that to me a little bit. This picture.
So actually, this was from another art trade. Let me show you because I did another art trade with this artist. Let me just briefly show you that. So this is another different art trade because this artist doesn't have. Stop that. I can add this. Nope, can't get out of this. Hold on, let me just reload if possible. Okay. This artist doesn't really have characters, and so, but we want to do an art trade, and so what we decided upon was we would resurrect some old monsters from like high school stories we wrote. Well, not necessarily high school, but old stories we wrote, and describe them. We would just describe them in words, and then the other artists would have to reproduce what they heard from the description. So hers was called A Nighter, and the way she put it was, nighters communicate in whispers, nocturnal, shy away from light. They're black and oily and emanate a bluish glow. Large, looming 6-foot shadow things with massive hind legs, clawed for climbing trees, and they have maws instead of arms. Claw-like appendages they stab people with, and only one gaping blue eye. The mouths open up and they swallow the victims whole. So it's pretty cool. So, and I'd never heard of an oily monster before, so I really wanted to capture that here. And then the other thing is, I wanted to make this not just like another, like a wolf thing, you know, or I wanted to make it interesting. And so I decided to separate the mouth from the eye and have them be two different appendages. And so really, it kind of has two heads. When this started out, it was actually in a very different form. It's almost like you took a human and piled it on top of another human and cut off its arms. That's how it was in the first iteration. But then I'm like, well, that doesn't really make much sense. Why does it look like a human piled on top of another human? So I decided to just try to draw it more literally, but keep the idea that it has two heads, because that was sort of the idea I was going with it. It doesn't necessarily have anatomy that you're used to.
Well, no, that's scarier sometimes.
It is. I mean, that's what I was trying to go for. And then, but what's funny, she mentioned the massive hind legs for climbing trees, and I was like, I've never drawn something with legs that can climb trees. What should I use? And then I thought of the perfect thing, a koala. So I went and found a picture of a koala bear, and I don't know how well you could see it, but that leg is inspired by how the koala's legs are shaped.
I see it now, the hind leg. I see it now.
Yeah. So that's mine. That's what I did, and then she did. Hold on a second. I just got to reload it. It's really annoying that you can't. It's appearing again. Stop. Okay. Now what she did is drew my character Greleffa. Not Greleffa, Greleffa. It's hard to say maybe, but this is what she came up with. Now, this is not what Greleffa is supposed to look like at all. But I have to say, it's freaking awesome. Like, she did such an excellent job with. I think like this is way better than what I came up with. This was. Let me just show you. This was my crappy picture of Gorilla I drew around 2001, 2002.
Oh no, he looks pretty cool to me. I like the face.
Yep, she's so Gorilla is a she. It's a female.
Oh.
She likes to
no skirt.
Likes to play. No, not at all.
Pink skirt.
She's not that kind of gal.
Yeah, made out of bones.
She's her thing. This was the point. She came from a story I wrote where the main character was supposed to be this obnoxious prick, sort of like this privileged obnoxious prick, and he ended up pissing off. It's okay to use that language. I don't know if it's.
I'll beep it anyway. Don't matter.
Okay. All right. But yeah, privileged obnoxious prick, and basically this, I guess, fairy type character ended up banishing him to a realm where humans are essentially at the bottom of the food chain is not really the right way of putting it, but there are different advanced races in this other world, and humans are not very advanced, and so they're sort of considered to be the lowest of the low, which is perfect for him because he's this arrogant prick.
Yeah.
And so in the story, Gorilla served as a sort of nemesis that would follow him around with the intent of making him her pet. And her pet's not lasting longer than a few days. So you can imagine how that goes.
Yeah. Not good.
No. And so she's this four-legged being that's made of wood. When I described it to this person, I said her head is shaped like a crescent moon. Now, I hadn't looked at the picture, so I was just sort of trying to describe from memory, because I was thinking, okay, it's got a jutting chin and it's got this jutting out nose. How can I describe that? I probably should have just said it has a chin and nose that juts out, but I went with it has a crescent moon shaped head. And so that's what this person came up with, which I just think it's fantastic. I think she did an excellent job. And it's also made of like dark mahogany wood, but I said mahogany because I pretty much thought all mahogany is dark, but that's not true.
Yeah.
At any rate, so that was that art trade. Stop it. It's really annoying because every time I try to select a tab, the Zoom screen sharing, Zoom thinks I'm trying to press on its screen sharing widget. Okay, so here, I'm not too happy with the proportions here, but I love it anyway. This is something I did for Halloween.
I don't know. It looks pretty good to me. Oh,
thank you. This is for our digital art remote drawing session that I hold on Discord every Sunday. And one day we thought it was going to be around Halloween, so we decided to go with a drawing prompt. So we chose monster, and I actually did two of them. I forgot there was another one I don't think I have up here, but this was one of them that I did. And so this again involves chiaroscuro again, because I just love it. I love that technique, and I would love to incorporate it in more of my stuff. It's very difficult. Like it's kind of difficult to get the hang of, but it just looks so cool. I don't know. What do you think of chiaroscuro? Like, do you think is that something that you kind of find cool?
Ask that question again.
What do you think of chiaroscuro? So as a reminder, it's the technique where you use black space and dark shadow to flesh out shapes.
Oh, I like that a lot, actually.
Yeah, I just think it's amazing, and
you get lots of good contrast. Like what's light is light and what's dark is dark, and it stands out.
Yeah, and it's like it adds a very atmospheric mood to it to things. So yeah, I did that for Halloween. I did something else actually. It's kind of amusing. Let's see if I can find it. Hold on, I'm just gonna find it because it's really annoying dealing with Zoom's widget. for some reason, it gave me the other one, the other window. Hold on a second. Oh, there it is. Okay. Just a second. Okay, 1 second.
Keep trying to use my mouse and the battery died, so I gotta use the...
Oh, no.
That's fine.
Yeah, you know, I'm actually working without my keyboard and mouse because I left them somewhere, which I'll have to get back to that. And I'll have to get back. I mean, it's not... I didn't leave them, you know, I can get them back, but...
We've been talking for an hour and 16 minutes, roughly, I think.
Yeah, we have. What are you thinking? You want?
Well, we're gonna have to call it quits soon. I think it's date night for me tonight.
Okay.
But before we go, there must be a pointer that you could give some people that are jumping into art. Any good ideas there?
It depends on the people. So if we're talking about beginners, especially if you're doing figure drawing, draw faces and hands. That's what you want to. That's what you want to master. You know, I can't tell you how many people, you know, I've seen that they'll draw stuff and then they'll draw their hands and they look like pincers. It looks so. Yeah. You know, and hands, they're so expressive. They're part of conveying. You know,
I have a hard time drawing hands, but I draw them. But you gotta do it a couple of times to get it.
Difficult.
Yeah. In the life drawing classes, we had to draw a hand for. If you go back and look at the art of the great masters, a lot of the hands are going to be hidden, or they're going to be in a way that you can't because they don't want to draw them.
Right.
Or feet.
That's right.
Feet.
Oh yes, feet
also, are very hard to draw. Because
at least with feet. People they're not gesturing with their feet. You know, I'm gesturing with my hand right now. It's part of communication. It's different from me holding my hand behind my back. I'm actually communicating stuff. Like, I don't know what it is, but I'm gesturing. You know, that's part of communication. It's just such a vital part. So draw those hands. Like, you don't have to like draw masterful hands, but learn the positions. Like, one thing I didn't really like put together until recently is the pinky really is far away from other fingers. Like it's pretty far away. So learn those positions of the fingers. Learn that, you know, this finger, the pointer finger, is the furthest back. Usually it's a natural position for this, you know, pointer finger to be furthest back. So hands and faces. And then the other thing I just want to say is please learn to do perspective. When you're drawing a character, make sure you know where the vanishing points are, if there are any. If there aren't any vanishing points, make sure that things that should be parallel are actually parallel. Because, you know, I don't know if you had this experience, but I had this experience where, like, I'll draw something, and actually a lot of people do this. Like, they'll draw something and then lift up the canvas, and it's like, ugh, you know, it looks like garbage. And I've learned like 9 times out of 10, that's because I have conflicting vanishing points. So, you know, and a lot of people don't do it. They don't think about it. I don't do it either. So make sure you're you know, drawing those vanishing points, you know, or at least you're aware of where those vanishing points are. If not vanishing points, aware of what things should be parallel.
And there's tons of tutorials on YouTube for learning perspective. And to draw hands, just go ahead and start drawing it, or follow a tutorial too, of course. But
yeah, and you can start out with skeletons for hands. Like, you don't even have to draw real hands. You can just draw them like, you know, a box for the palm or the hand, the back of the hand, and then a line for each finger. And even that's difficult, just getting those positions down. But when you do, like when you learn them, man, it's just so rewarding. So
William, what are you doing now after this call? What time is it there anyway? It's 9 or 8?
It's 8:26.
8:26 p.m. So what are you going to do after? Draw, or going to go grab a snack, or what?
Haven't had dinner yet, so probably I'll have some dinner.
Lobster.
Probably just do some more. No, thank you. I mean,
so
please,
because you'll end up blowing up like this, right?
I had, funny. I mean, we don't have much time, but I experienced my first allergic reaction a few months ago. That was a good time. Not lobster. I don't even know. I don't make dinner,
So once we're done here, I'm I don't know, tomorrow or the next day, maybe me and you'll get together and we'll have a chat some more about just random stuff, not to record, just about our own little projects, maybe, if you want. So
sure, yeah, we can talk about other things.
Yeah. So all right, I guess that's it for this show, or whatever you want to call it. It's the first one, so
yeah.
People, please don't judge. All right, William,
Yeah.
I'll message you later or talk to you tomorrow.
All right, it's been nice speaking to you.
All right, thank you, and oh yeah, Happy New Year.
Oh yeah, Happy New Year. Yes, let's hope this one goes better.
All right, see you later.
Okay.
Bye.
You too. Bye.